Operation status quo. Operation status quo. Prepare to engage. Operation status quo. Ready to engage. Operation status quo. Engaged. Engaged. Operation status quo. There we are, ladies and gentlemen. How are you doing? You gotta go with your flow. Don't you know that's where you gotta go to quo with your flow? No, you gotta flow with your quo. You know how it goes when I'm trying to get all my my buttons in order. I don't even know what I'm saying. Hey, how you doing out there? Oh, am I here? Here we are. Am I here? Here we are. Here we are. I'm here. You're here. We're here together. This is Operation Status Quo. I am your user-friendly host, Pete.Palma. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for taking the time to be with me here today on Operation Status Quo. Of course, this is the place where we observe the status quo of life. We learn to flow with the status quo of life. And then, most importantly, we learn to create our own flow of quo, because that's the only way to go. So, as we say here on Operation Status Quo, what are you doing right now this very second to create your own flow of quo? Let me know in the comments below for sure, because I'm interested in what you're doing out there. I love you guys out there individually as well as a group. That's why I'm here, because it's a space of love and joy and bringing people together and doing things differently than what we're used to. It's like, oh man. And remember, most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, if you are not living your flow of quo, what can I tell you? You're living someone else's flow, and that is a ding, 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 no, right here on Operation Status Quo, ladies and gentlemen. So today is the 17th. Last week was the 10th. I'm a week behind myself. Maybe we should go back and do last week's show. Did you like last week's show? Let me know. Oh, man. But anyway, today's the 17th of September in the good year 2025. And today's program is entitled, ladies and gentlemen, Exit Stage Left. Yeah. It's funny. I was thinking we all should exit stage left from the madness that's going on in the world right now. You know, that what prompted kind of my thought process really actually happened last week on this day, as we know that the event that occurred, I don't want to get, because I'm not political on this show, really, ladies and gentlemen. I really don't care. I talk all the time that I don't believe in politics. I don't believe in borders and countries and flags and all that kind of stuff. It's just all a bunch of levels of separation of humanity and dividing us, as opposed to the one people that we really truly are on this beautiful planet that's spinning, or maybe it's not spinning, but that's a whole nother discussion, you know. But when that thing happened last week, when the gentleman was shot, right? That happened probably right around the time that I was doing my show last week, because it was only like an hour or so afterwards that I heard about it. So anyway, of course that has stirred up a lot of controversy and discussion and different things. And really, what I wanted to focus on about it was not so much what it was or what side or any of that type of stuff, because again, that stuff doesn't matter to me. I always look at everything that we see through the mainstream in that regard when it's something that big of a story, and I don't want to say that it didn't happen, okay? First, let me get it off the bat. All I know is we don't know a lot of things about a lot of things that have happened. And even if you just to go back and just mention, like with Kennedy, when he was shot, it's just anyway, I'm not going to start getting all deep into that, but just the way that everything has been portrayed since it happened, like it kind of like, made me think. First of all, I mean, it was within hours, but probably the next day or later that evening. I don't know. It started right away with all the posts showing that it was, fake, and the blood bag, and I don't know, all these different things. The hole in the shirt was on one side, the other side, then the ring and the do, and right, and they were showing all this crazy stuff to say it was staged and blah blah blah. And maybe that's all I'm saying in that regard is, maybe all I know is this. The bottom line is that whatever we're being told, and I talk about this all the time, whatever we're being told as like the main news. I'm not saying things didn't happen. But however it's being told and what actually happened and the circumstances around what or why, it's just interesting to me of what we really know compared to what we're told. That's all. But it's also crazy to me when I see how, when I'm thinking of all the mindsets of the population nowadays, like there is so much division in a sense that like even in that community, like these people that I guess you would call it the truth community or whatever, and again, I've been following a lot of this stuff since when COVID happened back in 2020, kind of opened my eyes to just these different platforms and different things that are being discussed. And now it's become so I mean, it's crazy over the past like 5 years. You can look back and reflect. If I don't know, maybe some people. I wasn't into looking at social media really at all. I wasn't into, I didn't really follow anything in some of these regards. And now that I see the whole, how the stories have played out through all this time, it's pretty interesting to see, the picture, put together. But that helps you look at it from a different perspective of like how I always talk about. Oh, this didn't just happen. These events didn't just. It's not like random things that are just happening. It's like, and there's a whole backstory on that guy too. I'll just say CK, but there's a whole backstory on him. I don't know about, who he is or what. I heard of him. I knew who he was, but I didn't even realize the depth of like what he was doing and how much he was going around talking. Again, I don't like pay attention in that regard. And even the stuff he's talking about, again, this is what gets me crazy about, again, the divisiveness of everything, right? Like the people now on this truth conspiracy side, every single thing that happens is a fake, and the truth is in a way we don't know. Like even if it was, it could literally be an AI projected image, right? I mean, you've seen videos. I saw those videos back in the day. This is like years ago when the kids were sitting in the school in the auditorium or whatever in the gym, and it literally looked like a big whale or something like came out of the from the ground. It looked like water and it splashed back down, and it looked like really real, all in front of these kids from whatever hologram that they were projecting. And I'm saying we don't think this way as a society, that these type of technologies are being utilized and everything. But now I think I'm starting to get a little more on point. I'm feeling like what do we got? We're about 7 minutes in. It takes me. It's like when you go somewhere and you got to warm up. You get like if you're gonna go be a musician on stage, you got to like warm up your fingers before you go out and play guitar or warm up your voice. When I start to do the show, I gotta warm up a little bit. But like I'm saying about the projections, and like when you think about it from a higher level of the truth ultimately is in a way that it really doesn't matter what people believe. It only matters, no, it doesn't matter what's true is what I want to say. It really doesn't matter. And what is truth either way? Ultimately, it comes down to what a person believes. So it could be raining outside, and if a person vehemently believes that it's not, then, what are you going to do? We put water and dump it on their head, and they'll still say it's not, because it really comes down to what people believe. And if there are forces that are trying to guide population and thought processes and such, don't you think they know at a higher level it's a lot easier to orchestrate things in a certain way as opposed to just going out and shooting people or just doing things in a very physical way? Think about, we're just getting started with the AI technology. It's starting to get into the hands of the public in a usable form on a daily basis. So if that's coming to us now, imagine the levels that we are unaware of and what they can do. Even for the videos and things I make, I see a lot of things online pop up, for these video editors, and you can type in what you want to kind of scene, and then AI will create it, all this, whatever. But I mean, like, if that's just coming to us, you think they can't make, and I'm not saying this about this situation with CK, that it was a holographic image, or these people, how set up would it have to be for all that to be, I'm not going down that road. I'm just trying to say, but on a grander scale, like what we see with our world leaders and things like that, I do think a lot of that stuff is projections and things that aren't necessarily real, and on top of it, with the programming and such, I feel like the characters that we see, like I consider them characters, like people like Elon Musk, Bill Gates, Trump, Putin, whoever, even CK here in this situation, they're all basically characters in a bigger story, and they're utilized based on how the story is to be told, right? Not for anything back, a couple of years ago when JB was president, or whatever he was doing there. But again, it's not real, so it doesn't matter. We can make a joke about it. But anyway, back then when he was there, DT had a lesser role in a sense, like in the forefront of the news. I mean, he was involved and Pete was always doing stuff, and you knew. But what I'm saying is these characters are just characters, and then they're playing out the part, through time. Like they already knew where they were going to be today 4 years ago, in a sense, right? But they play it out through the projections. Then these characters, they come and go based on like the situations. And why I'm saying this too, in part, an example is that when that situation happened last week, I guess Kamala came out with a statement, and I just saw it was on the news and whatever she was saying, and I said to myself, like, wow, like I haven't heard a blip out of her, since the election, basically. Like, I don't know, maybe she's out and about. I don't pay attention, but I haven't really heard a blip about her, and all of a sudden here she is, pops up to make this statement about this situation. I'm like, oh, see how interesting it is. Like they use those characters the same way I use my characters. Like if you watch some of the other stuff I do, right? I use this character for this situation and that character for that situation, but they all intermingle kind of in some regard. It's all telling the same story. And that's the same thing that you're seeing with the way of our, what do I want to say, mediatized world, or I don't know, just the mainstream life and the projection of it to keep everybody in that kind of bubble. It's just like a weird thing. It's like, it's not these people, it's projections, caricatures of an essence. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I can put it in the words the right way. I'm not saying they don't exist, these people, but I think if you're existing at that level, you're involved with a lot more technologies and whatever you want to say, universal truths that aren't disseminated down to, keeping what, because if it was disseminated down to everyone, it was common knowledge, then they wouldn't have this bubble, to keep us, keep us in. And God knows how, how far it goes off. Like maybe it's, because they got deals with the aliens and everything else. And you know what I mean? Like all I'm saying is, and then these people are fighting, and, I really wasn't going to bring this up. I was going to bring it up real quickly, because I'm not going to bash, but I'm going to consider this, ladies and gentlemen, a toast to Drost update. I Mark's stuff will pop up on my Facebook every once in a while. And again, I'm only saying this because everything he puts on his Facebook is public. So you don't have to take it from me. You can go look at his page, Mark Drost, Drost. And, again, I only bring him up because of the whole yoga thing. And, I'm passionate about the yoga. I really love, and I'm speaking, I'm not going to get into a whole deep thing, but, I practice, teach, for those of you who don't know, whatever. And I'm really into the Bikram practice. I, just meant a lot to me in my personal growth and in my health, everything. So, and it's important to me, and Mark is a person that, works in that field, and he's so in his language on Facebook for a person who has such a large kind of business and following and what he does, and then on this situation with the CK, I'm not even going to read his post, but you can go read for yourself. But the one thing he said, in the one, which just said, even the biggest piece of shit in the world doesn't deserve to, get shot or, something to those regards. And I just mean, like, why say that? Like, then he had another post that was just talking, it was really nasty in a way. And then people come back and question or challenge him or say something back. And then he's so rude and insulting to people. And it's just I find it very hard to, and I really don't want to bring it up because I don't like to bash anybody. I'm sure, like, again, I've said it before, I'm sure he's a nice guy. I only met him during the time of my teacher training back in 2016, but I don't know, but it just, but he goes on Facebook and he's always on this, he just hates Trump so much. And again, and like what I'm trying to encourage here is like, why are, and that's why I brought this up, but why are you holding on to that? Why are you putting so much validity into, like, they are programming you? Like they want you to be pissed off. They're showing you what pisses you off. Like that's why there's so many groups, right? Whether it's left, right, I mean, independent, I don't know, whatever. But they know how to target each audience. They know that the people who lean this way are looking at things from this perspective. People who want this, these values, they're looking at it this way, and they pump this out, and then like, so you're falling for it, man. Like, in a sense, like, that's what really gets me about it. I don't care about having an opinion or whatever, but to be so angry at people and not even be able to listen. And it's, I've tried to talk to him a couple times, like in the past, with some of the stuff he would put on social media. And then I just realized, like, there's no, like, just have a conversation. Like, I appreciate your perspective. I feel this way because, you're lost. You're stupid. You're, the things I'm worried for you. And, and just, you scum suckers, Trumps, and, all this stuff. Like, it's just like, wow. And what I mean is, like, living from, and again, what happened here with the CK thing, right? How many people are upset, and, you got people cheering about it. You got people, devastated about it. But what I mean is, like, they're evoking that these things don't happen just like, they just decided to shoot this guy. Whatever that happened, that is a programmed event to elicit serious emotional response in a population. Okay. That's not like we just had to shut this guy up and we just shot him type thing. It's bigger than that. However, whether he really got shot, whether it's in some sort of AI technology hologram, whether he knew about it and, it's a body double. I mean, who the frig knows what level they make it look? I mean, it could be anything. It could have been a clone that they stuck up there and knew they were going to shoot it. Like, who really knows? All I know is that they know that they're doing that event to create an emotional response in the population. That's the main point of what I'm saying. It's not about what and then everybody gets tied into the depth, to the immediacy of the particulars of the physical situation, and then everybody starts fighting over it, and then it makes more excuses to argue over this side, that side. Oh, the left is crazy, the right is radical. I mean, all this like stuff that ultimately just drives people apart. So. And as I talk about it, we each of us as individuals have to take responsibility for, our awareness of existing and, being able to kind of disseminate, and then to be able to have the strength to stand up and say, I'm not going to, put into that. I'm not even saying you got to fight or you got to cause trouble, but, I'm not going to feed it. I'm not going to put into it. I'm not going to feed that energy, even for the people that are going around, like, for big support over, speak out for this gentleman being shot. I'm not saying not to speak out that it was wrong or whatever, right? But I just mean, like, now your emotion is tied into that and you want to fight back and get back at those who, right? I mean, ultimately, right, people in the other side, they're cheering. It's just, I don't know. I'm done. I'll do a round of applause. Hold on, just round of applause. Oh, man. Exit stage left. Hey-o. We all have to get out of here. And, and the truth is, like, we're all listening to these leaders. We're watching the news. I'm not personally. It's like, but most people are watching the news, listening to the leaders speak and, like, caring about what they say. And it's just like, man, like, it's all just, like, done as, like, a show to elicit the responses. And if we feed our emotion into our local communities and each other and ourselves first and foremost, right, and we build from there, everything we have, while we're looking out there, we're looking 30 steps away from places we'll never be, see, or know, or, you know what I mean? Like, and it's like, but everything is right here in our hands today in front of us if we choose it. And instead, that's why we see the craziness the way we do. They have to really turn it up a notch. Now they'll just blow somebody away on stage on a college campus, whatever they got to do to whatever's coming next. They're going to blow up more buildings. They're going to, the comet, that 3-eye Atlas thing that's coming, is it going to be a big, turn into like a transformer and open up into a big spaceship, or I don't know, come down and take over the earth? You know what I'm saying? Like, they got to up it and up it and up it and up it, because, like, I think people are trying to get back to center. So they got to create more crazy and drive people in a gazillion different directions. So, personally, there's only one direction, and that is within, ladies and gentlemen. And if you, you take heed to that and live your life from that perspective, there's really nothing that can, break your stride. Never gonna break my stride. Gotta keep it moving on, yeah. Keep it moving. Yeah. Heyo. I don't feel like being silly so much today. But anyway, listen, that's that for that. So, just keep an eye on it. It's just like, I don't know what I've even said today so far. So can you let me know in the comments, did I say anything that made any kind of sense? Did I formulate some sort of thought pattern, process, and thought? This is the live stream of consciousness, so I just let the show flow through me for better, for worse, but I appreciate you sticking with me through it. So here we go. We're going to move on and have a little fun now, ladies and gentlemen. So let's transition. What can I do to transition? Let's do a little harmonica. We're going to do a little transition now. I was talking about the world, but we're going to flip it somehow. Gonna do fun facts. We're gonna do fun facts. I got some facts on the internet. They say they're fun, but we'll find out as we read them one by one. That's why the shows always go so damn long, right? If I stopped wasting my time doing such nonsense like that, we would probably we can get done the show in about 6 minutes. All right, here we go. Let's do some fun facts. Did I mention we were going to do fun facts? We'll do some. No, I don't have anybody on the OSQ Starlink satellite today, by the way. In case you were wondering, there is no live guest. The satellite was acting up, but we'll have it back on track before you know it. Anyway, let's see here, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see what they say here. Let's see if we find something that's kind of. How about this? You don't actually lose most of your heat through your head. How about that? So that's kind of convenient. So you don't have to wear a hat anymore. It says your face, head, and chest are more sensitive to temperature changes, but this myth isn't entirely true. In reality, covering any part of the body helps prevent heat loss in the same way. It's like, how ridiculous is that? Covering any part of the body helps to reduce heat loss. Well, gee, I would think so, right? I mean, obviously, you can't go out because if you think the head loses the most, then I guess, you technically can go outside in sub-zero temperatures in the nude as long as you're wearing a hat, right? Because you would save enough heat to maintain the body. But no. But what's funny about it is that it also says your face and head are the first two, and chest, obviously, they mentioned too, or they say that are the most sensitive. So they're saying you don't actually lose most of the heat through your head, but your face and head are the top two on the list of where you do. I mean, it's like kind of like double talk here, ladies and gentlemen. See, that's the kind of thing you get with facts from the internet. They're not really factual at all. Now it says here the T-Rex likely had feathers. Scientists in China discovered that during the early dinosaur period, the Tyrannosaurus skeletons that were discovered, they were covered in feathers. They found these T-Rexes. They were covered in feathers, ladies and gentlemen, and they probably had feathers. That's what they're saying. I don't know. Who knows? I mean, maybe there was a family of birds that built the nest on the bones, right? After the T-Rex died. I'm sure it makes a nice open space to build a nest in there. You never know. I mean, I can't say just because they found feathers. If I was to die and they found feathers around me, would they think that I lived my whole life having feathers? I don't know. It's just something to consider, ladies and gentlemen, as we proceed here on Operation Status Quo. Football teams wearing red kits. I guess kits, is that shoes? I don't know. Play better. The color of your clothes. What are kits? Kits is another name for like a uniform in football, and I don't know that. Anyway, the color of your clothes can affect how you're perceived by others and change how you feel. A review of football matches in the last football matches. Maybe they're talking about soccer in this. Maybe that's why. Maybe the football they mean soccer. But anyway, a review of football matches in the last 55 years, for example, showed that teams wearing a red kit consistently played better in home matches than teams in any other color. So there you go. The red, the red is it's seductive, I guess. It's alluring. Maybe it just kind of entrances people and gets them in this kind of sensual way that takes them off their grit, for playing tough. But I would think this must be kits. Do they call uniforms or shoes or anything kits in soccer? Because I'm not a soccer guy. I have to be honest. So maybe they were talking about soccer there. But this, I don't know where this list came from, but they should at least put it in parentheses. Soccer, not, when they say football, not American. Okay. when you cut a worm in two, it regenerates. So this is actually nice. I actually did this experiment when I was in, I guess I was in if I was in like 7th or 8th grade, when we had the little planaria worm, and you cut the planaria worm in half and it grows back. Is this true with all worms? I don't know. I mean, this is kind of like a nice thing. If you want a pet worm, but you're not sure how much you want to commit, right? So you get the one worm. Now you like this worm and you're enjoying it. So you think to yourself, I wouldn't mind having 2 worms. So now you cut the worm in half. Now you have 2 worms. And before you know it, ladies and gentlemen, you can have your whole house full of worms crawling through the vents, crawling in your mattress, crawling all over my camera here for Operation Status Quo. All right, let's do one more. We'll wrap it up. We're gonna get done early today because let's see here. Oh, this is a sad story. Let's see. We'll do this one anyway. Wind turbines, ladies and gentlemen. Wind turbines. They kill between 10,000 and 100,000 birds each year in the UK. Okay, see, now I know it was soccer because they're saying UK. This list must be from an overseas source. You see what the information you get here on Operation Status Quo. When I do things, ladies and gentlemen, like I'm reaching out worldwide for information. I'm not just going my local grocery store and picking up a tabloid and reading it to you. You know what I mean? This information has been sourced out to the UK. Increasingly, painting one of the blades of the wind turbine black can reduce. Interestingly, did I say interestingly? I don't know if I did or not. But painting one of the blades of the wind turbine black can reduce bird deaths by 70%. So in that case, why not just paint 2 of them black and eliminate everything altogether? Right? Not only that would be 140%. So their population would actually probably increase by an additional 40%, ladies and gentlemen. So it's something to consider there also. All right, that's what we got for you here today. Let me give you a round of applause. Operation Status Quo. Live true and be you. It's the new world. Are you here with me in the new world? Hey-o. Yeah, and let all that stuff go, like I was saying in the beginning, I guess. It's just, it got me a little bit because for some reason, it did get me a little bit, that situation that happened last week. Not that I had any emotional ties to his particular message, because I feel like his message he speaks in a nice way, but it's almost divisive in certain ways. It's too over the top with that religious crap and everything else, man. It's just like, it's too much. There's not like one way. There's not one way. Everybody, there's not one way. There's not one way to do life is life, and there's all multiple facets of it thereof. It's all one thing, and like everybody wants to pick this is right, that, what I mean? And this is what we get. That's why we have the world that we have. So, cut it out. Smarten up. All right. That's what I have for you here today on Operation Status Quo. Please, if you haven't done so already, please take the time to like, subscribe, share. Send this out to your friends, your family, those you love, and of course, those you despise as well. God bless each and every one of you out there, individually as well as a group. You know how much I love you. Please check out pete.palma.com. The Happy Day album is streaming. Don't forget to look me up on all the socials. And until next time, Operation Status Quo, disengaged.